Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Constant Backpedaling, otherwise known as a Warframe video. Aren't Rivens the most delightful of subjects? Already been the prime subject of several videos I've made, and now I'm coming at you with another new player-friendly video to assist you and those of you who may be struggling with the carefully disguised gambling mechanic in the form of shiny Kuva-infused purple nuggety mods. And specifically with opening them and the challenges they then come with in the most simplistic manner possible. And, you know, if you want to unlock more than just Rivens, you can unlock my heart by going to the description and following my Twitter and Twitch. So, Rivens. We already have a pretty comprehensive guide to the basics of them, which you'll find linked handily in the description below. So if you are a little lost as to what these slightly sensual looking mods are, then please go and watch that before watching this video. I can assure you it will put you in the right place to understand what we're about to be talking about. One of the first things players learn about Rivens is that they are not just a grab and use mod. No, no, no. To make use of the mod itself and to actually get it to roll into a specific weapon first, you need to actually complete a challenge the Riven will initially come with. And once, and only once, then you can actually finally descend into the endless pit of Kuva gambling and depravity. Hark, O ye of little faith, Rivens are not for the faint of heart, or those susceptible to gambling addiction. So, some important things to know about Riven Challenges before we start. 1. It doesn't matter what weapon type your Riven is. The challenges are randomized across all of them. 2. You don't need to complete the Riven challenge with the weapon with the equipped Riven, i.e., if you had a rifle Riven with the Riven challenge and it asks me to kill an enemy from 300 meters away, I can in fact use my secondary weapon or melee weapon if I so choose. 3. Challenges that can be failed will show visually if they are failed, meaning you can insta-quit the mission and start them again. 4. When the challenge is complete, you don't need to stay in and complete the mission itself. You can just quit. That way, you can leave the mission, and although you might lose your rewards, you'll be quicker at unveiling the Riven and finding out what it is you've unlocked. 5. We are going to be looking at the baseline challenges in this guide, but the baseline challenges will also, in most instances, come with modifiers. These modifiers are things such as whilst alone or with a dragon key equipped. They are, in essence, simple additional things to do alongside the main challenge, and although most of them won't pose too much of an additional threat, certain combos of modifier and challenge can make life a bit of a nuisance. So it's about adapting to the challenge based on what the modifier is. And now for the challenges themselves. This is going to be going over the fundamentals and the way I get these done, and hopefully in a way that will help you understand how to get them done yourself. If a challenge becomes infinitely harder with a modifier, then we will mention it. Otherwise, we are strictly going to talk about the baseline challenge. Otherwise, with all the combos, there's something stupid like 1,200 challenges. I have time on my hands, but I do want to be done with this before I turn 50. So, yeah, on with the show. The first challenge we're going to start with is catch X amount of fish without The first challenge we're going to look at is catch X amount of fish without missing a throw. In essence, this is a very simple task. You go to Fortuna or Plains of Eidolon, find an isolated water location so that you don't get bothered by pesky Grineer or Corpus soldiers, and then you want to make sure you use an appropriate fishing rod, as you want to try and make sure that you catch the fish in one single throw. If you're trying to catch fish with the wrong fishing rod, it might take you multiple strikes to land a fish, which means you want to try and use the correct fishing rod for the right location you're in. So keep an eye on which fishing rod you're using for the location, and you shouldn't really have too much of an issue. Make sure you're using luminescent dyes and pheromones to make the whole catching process easier as well. Extending from that with catch one fish, mine one gem, and kill one enemy, all within 30 seconds. Map knowledge is key to this one. Make life easy for yourself. First, find a mineral near an enemy camp, which will be amongst a rock formation, and also one that is near water. You want to mark a mineral in the rock formation that is near the water. You then want to go to the water location that you have near you, put your luminescent dye in, and wait for a fish. You fish that fish, fish. You then run over to the marked mineral you've marked, mine the mineral, and then you either use an Arcwing or Speedy Boy frame that you have on you to then run over to the enemy location, usually near a camp of some sort, and kill the enemy. Some good locations to do this are in the corner of Plains of Eidolon near the giant dead fish, as there is a nice Grineer camp along with some decent mineral spots as well in the rock formations near the water. You just want to mark the mineral in the rock formation, fish the fish, mine the mineral, and then rush over and kill an enemy in the camp. Honestly, this one just comes down to execution and muscle memory more than anything else. Complete a level 30 defense mission without the defense objective taking any damage. Now, this is frame dependent and comes down to frame choice as the pivotal asset as to how well you do this. Yes, you can absolutely try and mash your way through this by killing the enemy before they reach the defense target, for certain. However, good frame choice will make the pivotal decider on this one. My best suggestions for this are frames such as Limbo. Using his Cataclysm and Stasis, you'll be able to ward enemies away. Frost with his Bubble. Gara with her glass wall will keep enemies away as well. But any frame with decent crowd control such as Vauban will work wonders. I would just say the one that will be definitively the best are things such as Vauban and Limbo. You can also take the aggressor's approach and just bring a frame that will do so much damage before enemies reach you that no enemy will reach you in the first place. Frames such as Sarin, Equinox, even Ember will work wonders for that. You can also make your life easier by going for map-dependent planets. Eris, going for Akkad or the tileset on Kala Azar, is an ideal location for this, as it's a very small condensed map, and ideally you don't need to worry so much about enemies coming from multiple locations, as there's only a set number of locations enemies can come from. Additionally, you only need to complete 5 waves and then leave to successfully open this Riven. Complete a level 30 extermination mission without being detected. Now, it's no surprise that stealth frames such as Loki, Ivara, or Ash are going to be absolutely ideal here. You want to get to the end of the mission and complete the extermination without being detected, and stealth frames are basically the go-to for that. However, if you lack stealth frames, there are some things you can do to make life easy for yourself. You can, in theory, use silenced weapons such as the Bazza and kill enemies slowly from ranged, or you can very slowly make your way through the mission, executing enemies as you go. Or, if you want to make life super cheesy and easy for yourself, so long as the modifier for this Riven is not to complete this solo, you can get a friend to join you and have this friend rush ahead of you and clear the entire map whilst you stay at the start and remain undetected. Your friend will clear the map for you, and then all you need to do is run to the end of the map once the amount of enemies killed has been completed. Therefore, you complete the map and you have completed the objective for the Riven. Complete a solo interception with level 30 or higher enemies. For this challenge, you want to focus on control. Frame choice matters a lot here, and there are some suggestions I could make which would definitely aid you here. Frost with his Bubble, Nova with Molecular Prime, Rhino with Stomp, Hydroid with his Tentacle Swarm, Banshee with a good range build and her Resonation, any frame with decent AoE abilities such as Vauban will work wonders here. You want to be able to make sure you affect as many of the control locations as possible with your crowd control, but my personal choice for this is either Frost or Vauban. You can alternatively take the aggressor's approach, where you deal enough damage to prevent the enemies from getting there in the first place, using frames such as Ember, Sarin, Equinox, or any frame with good high range scaling AoE capabilities. You can also make life easy for yourself with this challenge utilizing only 3 of the points as opposed to 4. It doesn't matter how you get to the completion of this task so long as you get there, so you don't need to control all 4 points to get this objective completed. Additionally, using the planet Eris and the location node Xeni or Pluto and Cerberus are great nodes for getting this done with efficiency, as they are much smaller and condensed, meaning you have less room and distance between each of the nodes, meaning it'll make it easier for you to keep control of these locations. Complete a survival mission with level 30 or higher enemies without killing any enemy. Ivara is the best choice here. If you have Ivara, this will become very trivial, as Ivara can use her pickpocket to loot extra life support tokens from the enemy, which will give you small amounts of life support back to your overall node. As you have to realize, the point of survival and the way you continue in a survival mission is to kill enemies, which give you the life support beacons that you activate to regenerate your life support. Saving that, and because you can't do that, what you have to do to stay alive and keep your oxygen supply up is you need to actively loot the loot boxes, the lockers, and any cash that is within the mission. These will then give you these oxygen life support supply boxes, which will regenerate small amounts of oxygen supply. On top of that, there will be the occasional life support system that you can bounce between and activate. This will give you the main amount of life support you'll need to make your way through this mission. So, TLDR, loot the boxes, loot the lockers to get the small oxygen supply boxes, and bounce yourself between the big life support systems that come in every now and again, and then at 5 minutes, leave. You do not need to stay in past the initial 5-minute mark, because at that point, you would have completed the Riven Challenge. Destroy X amount of Dargons with a bow. To get this one done simply, go to the Kuva Fortress, the node Koro, and go to the bridge where you try and open the door. When you activate the process of opening the door, you will get 6 to 7 Dargons spawning from the left and the right of the door that you can actively kill. This is quick, efficient, and very easy to do. Vicariously, if you can't do this, your best alternative to this would then be to go to Eidolon and just try and actively get them to spawn from the bounties or from just generally wandering around the plains of Eidolon. Destroy X amount of rush turrets while in Archwing. Now, there's not much I can really tell you about this challenge because this comes down to your knowledge of the map and also adjusting to the modifier the Riven Challenge comes with. So all I'll say is watch my path that I have in the back to know the way I personally go for getting enough rush turrets to complete most of these Riven Challenges. Find 1 to 4 caches. Now, you might think that this is one you have to do in the sabotage missions. Now, although that does count, and you can basically find any bonus cache in a mission that has bonus caches, such as sabotage or lure, you can also go to the bounties on Fortuna and Plains of Eidolon and get caches from the bounty objectives from there as well to count towards this. Find X amount of Syndicate medallions. Now, this challenge is boring and slow as it's a systemic challenge with something you would naturally be doing if you're doing Syndicate missions anyway. But some things to do to make this life a lot easier for yourself here is to take loot detector mods and a Limbo. If you take Limbo with a max range build and uses Cataclysm, he will break caches and breakable containers, making sure that those are then off of your map, and then any remaining icons on your map are then either pick-upable items or the Syndicate medallions you're after. Additionally, taking other people with you to these Syndicate missions will make life easier as well, because if a friend or an ally finds a Syndicate medallion, then it will be marked for you as well. Additionally, some small missions and small defense nodes will have medallions on them as well. With these nodes, you can go in, pick up a few medallions in a short succession, and then leave. You will lose your mission rewards, however, the progression towards your Riven will not be lost, and you can rinse and repeat that process because the only time you lose that Syndicate mission is if you complete it. 3 headshots in a single aim glide. Now, this is a big one. This is one I get a lot of people saying they struggle with. My personal way of doing this is a spray and pray method, using muscle memory with aim glide in narrow corridors on planets such as Lua or the Void. Doing this solo also means you don't have to worry about people getting in your way and killing your targets. And really, this will just take some time to get used to if you use this method. Other methods that will make life easier for you here is Scourge with its passive bullet attractor, which allows for easy headshots. Weapons like the Arcoplasma and Catchmoon with their large spread on their shots make multi-headshots and single aim glides rather easy. Zephyr for long aim glides also comes in handy here. Frames like Vauban, Equinox, Baruk, Ivara can put frames into sleep mode to make them easier to hit for you as they'll not be moving. And finally, Pack Seeker is also another good suggestion if you have access to it. Also, and it is worth mentioning, the vent room at the start of the Jupiter tile set can be used to perpetually hoist yourself in the air, allowing enemies to come to you so that you can have a perpetual aim glide, allowing you to headshot enemies as they come to you. Get 10 to 20 kills in a row while wall dashing or wall clinging without touching the floor. Frames with toggleable AoE are a must here. Frames that have the ability of hitting a large area away from them will make life considerably easier here. It's about being able to consistently wall jump and stick to a wall without having to fall off. So it's about the consistent output without having to disrupt your wall clinging. Now, you want to either focus on maps with consistent waves of enemies with high walls that allow you to wall cling easily, like Survivors or Solo in the Void, or even the Crossfire Exterminate on Lure will help here as well, as there are large clumps of enemies as you make your way through. Consider the geography and the areas which you are going into, as this will make life easier for you when you do decide to start doing this, because you want to make sure you have the room to be able to maneuver and wall climb in the first place. My main frame suggestion for this is Octavia, specifically because if the modifier is not to be detected, you can go invisible with Octavia whilst getting good AoE and adjustability at the same time. You then also have frames such as Sarin, Equinox, and Ember that are also a good choice if there is no modifier for not being detected. The passive AoE here is a must. Otherwise, you can also wall cling and use your guns to shoot as well to try and add a bit of viability in there as well. But in reality, this all comes down to being able to successfully wall cling and maneuver yourself around if enemies are not in your location you're at. Get the killing blow on Sentience. Now, there's no complexity to this challenge. You just kill Sentience, but the places you go to does matter. The most efficient way is to go to Plains of Eidolon at nighttime and kill Vombalists, as these do count. But if it is not nighttime and you want to be able to do this at the same time, you can go to Lure, as if you go to Lure, you will randomly get Sentience spawning throughout your mission if you allow yourself to be detected by the Sentient scouts. The more people you go into this mission with, the more Sentience will spawn. You just need to communicate with your allies that you need to be the one who gets the kills. Making sure that you use your operator will also make sure you can kill them much more quickly and efficiently to reset their resistances. Kill 3 airborne Chondrox within X amount of seconds. This is one of those tasks that isn't hard, it's just annoying. For the location and the method, just watch the video. Kill X amount of Dargon pilots before they hit the ground. So this is another one that a lot of people often end up complaining about, and there's been a number of different iterations of how to complete this. My most consistent way of doing this, and my best recommendation, is to destroy the Dargon and hope you don't kill the pilot in the process. Of course, the Dargon themselves are going to spawn on Plains of Eidolon, and the way you want to go about this is take a small arms weapon, such as an assault rifle, kill the Dargon, let the pilot hit the ground, and then you might be saying, but Makari, the pilots hit the ground, that fails the challenge. But, and here's the but, if you were to use a frame, such as Nidus, or Vauban, a frame that has the ability of lifting an enemy back off the ground using an ability such as Nidus's Lava, or Vauban's Bastille, or Nezha's Spear. This ability that then lifts them back off the ground, or Rhino's Stomp, an ability that can lift them back off the ground, technically puts them back in the air. You can then kill them whilst they're back in the air, and that will count towards your Riven. So that's the cheese way of doing this. And honestly, most of you should have some of these frames that should be able to do this challenge. If not, then you can try and force your way through doing this by aiming at the Dargon while it's flying, and then the second the Dargon dies, you need to move the crosshair of your gun in the direction the Dargon was flying, as the Dargon pilot will always spawn in the direction that the Dargon was flying in the first place. Kill X amount of enemies. Now, in essence, the actual challenge isn't the hard part, but this is the one that could possibly come with the biggest amount of modifiers, and this is the one that will require you to adjust the most depending on what it comes with. Modifiers will include while aim gliding, while sliding, while invisible, kill enemies with finishers, kill enemies with headshots, kill enemies with headshots from at least 100 meters away, kill unarmed enemies, kill specific enemies, kill enemies that are on a dropship, having a dragon key equipped, not using consumables, not taking damage, not being affected by status effects, not dying becoming down, not raising any alarms, not being detected, not failing the mission while alone in solo mode, completing within a single day. So realistically, most of these are incredibly straightforward and will kind of direct you in the method you need to go about them. The one that requires you not to take damage, the recommendation for that is either invisibility or use Rhino's Iron Skin. Rhino's Iron Skin creates a barrier where you don't take damage, and instead the Iron Skin takes damage for you. But the rest of these challenges, just do what it tells you to do and you won't have any problem. Kill X amount of wild animals with a fishing spear. We're going fishing, boys! So here you want to make sure you can sneak up on the animals before they scarper. Using stealth frames or frames with sleep, such as Equinox or Ivara or Baruch, will make life easy for you here. So you want to use the ability and then instantly swap out to your fishing spear. Alternatively, you can also use Korra's ensnare to very simplify this process as well. Honestly, the easiest process of doing this is Plains of Eidolon, as the animals you find on Fortuna are a lot more spread out and definitely a little more inconsistent. So just make sure you're utilizing stealth and sleep, and you shouldn't really have much of a challenge with this. Land X amount of consecutive headshots while in Archwing mode on Plains of Eidolon. Now, this can have a modifier to be done from X distance away. When that happens, you need to rely on weapons that are a bit more accurate from a distance, such as sniper rifles. Not hitting the head will reset the counter, meaning you have to start again. So make sure you hit your shots. The best way of doing this is to make sure you are in your Archwing from a distance at the Grineer camps. The Grineer camps will always have a decent amount of enemies, and you want to focus on the enemies that have heads that are a bit more exposed. There are certain enemy types where their heads will be a bit more huddled around armor, and the hit register in this game isn't always the best, so you kind of want to make sure you're playing by pixels here. So again, snipers will work well, but any weapon that is accurate from a distance you want to focus on. Take it by your preference and what weapons you prefer using. Now, you can cheese this a lot by using an unmodded weapon. You can hit the same enemy in the head several times over, as it counts for headshots, not headshot kills. Sustain a 6 times modifier for 30 seconds. Now, this is one that just requires a bit of persistence more than anything else, but using combo counter persistence mods will help a lot here. But you can use immune enemies, such as the ones on the Kuva Fortress, which are the turrets, or the attacking Kuva siphons will also make life trivial for this as well. But there's an enemy in the very early stages of the game, which will also make this incredibly trivially for yourself as well. The best way of doing this is by going to Lieutenant Krill and attacking him head on, as he is immune to all damage unless you take him out of phase 1. So you go in, you mash your weapon against him using some defensive capabilities to keep yourself alive, and then eventually you'll build up to a 6 times modifier, and so long as you keep yourself alive, you shall not struggle with this challenge. Synthesize a Samara's target without using traps, abilities, or whilst having a dragon key equipped. This usually includes the moniker of not taking damage, and if that's the case, you absolutely want to take Rhino. Rhino also just makes this task quite trivial in the first place anyway, because it will allow you to scan the target without needing to worry about dying in the first place, because if you activate Iron Skin, not only are you not taking damage for that modifier, but it also means you can just sit there and scan the target without needing to worry about dying. But in essence, having to follow the target is the hardest part here. You can try and corner the target by pushing them in the direction of a wall or a narrow corridor, which will make life easier for yourself. Honestly, this is more of an annoyance and just a case of trying to push them in a direction that makes life easier for you to scan them. I'm sure I've missed some cheesy methods of doing some of these challenges, but if nothing else, I hope this video has put across my methods of doing these challenges, and if at least 1 or 2 of you get some use out of it and end up completing a challenge you've been stuck on, then that to me is a success. So hopefully this video has been useful. If you've liked it, like it. If you want to check out my overall Rivens guide, then please check the link down below. And if you want to tell me a Riven challenge you've found to be an absolute ball ache, then please leave a comment down below and we'll have a lovely discussion about how much of a lovely gambling addiction Rivens can be. So thank you for watching, and I'll see all of you top hatters in the next video. Ta-ra!